Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Yeah, that escalated quickly. So I ended up pulling the front clam. The reason I did it, there's the front clam, was because it was just hard to get to that passenger side brake line. With the AC lines and everything, I was just like, you know what, I'll pull the clam. It's really easy. I'll show you kind of where the bolts are. And I just, working around paint, I dropped the wrench on top of the fender, on top of the clam. And luckily it didn't do anything, but I was really nervous. So I just decided to pull the front clam. I was kind of curious too, and I kind of wanted to check over some other stuff while the clam was pulled, maybe do some fixes there where things are known to go wrong. But anyway, if you look right here, like you can get to the brake line on this side because it's pretty open, but over here you cannot. Like the AC line's in the way. It looks like a critter got in here, but so I'm gonna have to pull all this and pull the AC, or after thinking about it for a while last night, I could open this hole up a little bit because this is just composite. It's not really gonna hurt anything. It'd make it a lot easier. I won't have to worry about recharging AC. And usually when you open that system up, stuff starts to go bad, especially when it's that old. I really don't want to deal with that. I'd really like the car to have some AC. I mean, the AC doesn't work very well in them. It's known not to because the cars aren't well insulated and it's just not a big system. But at least something to help in the summer, especially because I'll mainly run the car with the top on. But anyway, so I pulled that clam. If you look right here is a bolt. You open the door and there's a bolt right here with a 5mm head Allen that it's like a bracket that feeds it. Right here. And then there's another 10mm right here that you only have to loosen it. You don't have to fully take it off. So that's on each side. And then if you look at the inside, once you have the fender liners out, there's a 10mm up in here. Can't miss it on each side. Then there's a 5mm headed bolt right here on each side. And then right here, so here's where the 5s are up top, there and right there, right inside of these things. You don't have to take these off. And then at the bottom of the headlights, there's one on each side. And then you have to disconnect from the inside. If you're sitting from the inside above the oil coolers, you have to disconnect the lights in the front. And that is all. So it's pretty simple. Doesn't take too long. It took me maybe a half hour. The hardest part was trying to wiggle it. You can see how dirty it is too. And I had to disconnect. I don't know if all cars have this. Mine had, right here was the antenna. The antenna looks like it goes in the front of the clam. And then these little clips right here for, I'm assuming they show that these are down or they're, I don't know what they are. So hood popped or something, I don't know. So I took that all off, and then I did take off the rear diffuser. It's a Di-Flow one. I took that off because I want to change the clamp on the exhaust because they use an ugly clamp. So I want to change that and clean. I'm probably going to pull the exhaust and polish it, repolish it. And then it's also easier to get to the rear suspension without banging your wrenches and stuff off your diffuser. So it's just a little bit real quick there. Kind of been thinking about it all night. If I'm gonna open up that hole, I think I'm just gonna go for it. It's really not gonna hurt nothing. As long as I do a nice job, you really won't be able to ever tell. It'll be making servicing the brake lines really easy in the future if I ever have to change them again, but putting those new ones in, I shouldn't have to change them. So, all right, let's get cut. wasn't too bad. It's fiberglass, so it cuts pretty easy. I just elongated the hole. You can tell here. So from like right here to here, I elongated it. Doesn't look too bad. But this is all fiberglass anyway, so. Kind of really didn't have a choice. I would try, I'd take a little bit off, try to get the wrench in there, take a little bit more off. So I kind of went slow with it. I could have probably taken off a little more, to be honest. It's gonna be tough to get that brake line in there, but I didn't want to take too much off and cause issues down the road. I don't think it'll ever cause an issue, but you never know. But my car, I'll cut it up. So let's continue to get some work done on this thing. Hello everyone, welcome back. So we got the front end off, we got the brake lines on, everything's pretty much wrapped up in the front waiting for control arms. So there's some maintenance things I want to do that I just started to look at once we had the front clam off. So today we're going to pull the rear clam off. I will show you the process once we get the clam off. I did take the speakers back out and the rear panel, which I'll show you that and show you kind of everything once it's off. But my control arms are stuck in customs. The axle issue is who knows. So I want to do a couple more things to the car. I don't think I'm going to make it the OG Smokies trip just because of those things. I don't want to like finish the car and then drive it 8 hours like 2 days after. So it just doesn't make sense to me. So I think it's just gonna get delayed a little. We'll see. I'm gonna still try to make it. I don't have to cancel my Airbnb for a while, so, or maybe we could take a different car. I mean, even though these two are both not running, but I do have a 135 that Felicia might let us borrow, but we'll have to see. So let's get to work. We have the rear clam ready to come off. I'm just waiting for Buddy to come over to help me lift it off. I'll kind of go over now how to get it prepped to come off and some of the tricks that I've found and read and learned. So first is the easy stuff. Take off the bracket for the hard top. Then you take off this inner plastic panel, slide it forward. There's screws like 3 or 4. Then there's an Allen right here and right there on each side, can't miss it. Pull those out. Then you have to pull the back plastic out and then the foam behind it. In here, there's studs with 10mm nuts on them. So you take all 4 of those off. Then through here, you can see that hole above where that light's coming through. That is a 10mm. You got to take that off there and there. A lot of guys mistaken and try to figure, at first I thought that I was going to have to stick a wrench up through here and come backwards towards the panel to get that, but figured out how to get it. You have to take your side panels out, scoops or the louvers. You have to pull those out. Mine were just screwed in, and then I took the brackets off just to make it easier. I took this plastic edge guard off. I'm gonna try and replace all the edge guard on the car because it's kind of nasty and glued and just doesn't look too nice. You can see like it started to pull back here and just like to replace it. Then there's 2 10mm bolts that connect the side skirt to the clam. You have to take out the fender liners to get to those. So you have to take out the fender liners, which are just a couple screws. There's like one up there. Then you can see here, I pulled out the harness through the holes on the driver's side. So we'll go back to the trunk real quick. There's 2 bolts here. 2 bolts in the back from that held my diffuser bracket on, and then 2 bolts here. One was under the battery, one was behind the battery, and then the harness connected here. and here to the lights, took that off, then stuck it all through the sorry, I had to get the camera. Stuck it all through the clam, through the fender well. That's it there. The washer bottle has to come off. You just take it off the bracket. This side, you have the 2 more bolts right up here that bolt the clam to the side skirt. Fender liner has to come out. The fuel door has to come off. This side is the same with the scoop in that, and then the same here and there. So that's it. Let's I take the speakers and all that back out, obviously, to get that rear panel out, which is kind of a pain, especially since I just put them in there. But that's it. So we'll get the clam pulled off and then kind of go over what the next plan is with the car. And it looks like I'm not gonna make it to OG Smokies, just because we went over that a little earlier, but we'll get the car done. So keep watching and let's pull the clam. So rear clam is now off. As you can tell, it was a little bit dirty in here. Then Ryan did tell me when I bought the car that the valve cover gasket looked like it was leaking. So that we're gonna replace, and then serpentine belt was pretty dry rotted, so we got another one of those on order. This coolant tank is gonna be replaced. The bracketry for the radium bracketry for the for the clam, not the hard top. Clean the intake and everything. So the first thing I'm gonna do now though is I'm gonna degrease and pressure wash everything and kind of go from there and see where we're at. All right, everyone, well, that's a wrap. I got the rear clam off, got the front brake lines on, started to undo some of the front radiator, but I'm gonna wait on that till I get some more of the parts. And the rear is now way cleaner than it was. Go back and take a look. Use some degreaser and stuff. I might hit it again, so I start working on it. This valve cover is pretty porous, so it's kind of hard to get. I might vapor blast it or have it powder coated real quick if I can get a quick turnaround time, but it's a lot cleaner than it was and ready to do some of the maintenance upgrades to it and kind of just get it ready to drive. So still having issues getting some parts, but hopefully that solves itself quickly and start getting parts so I can start throwing this thing back together. So thanks for watching, and please like, subscribe, and comment, and just let me know what you want to see, and till next one.